If you ask people about corporate scandals, they might think of insider trading, CEO bonuses, or bank bailouts. But nothing, and I mean nothing, changed the face of corporate America like Enron. This wasn't a failed product. It wasn't bad strategy. It was deliberate and massive accounting fraud, so huge that it wiped out billions in pensions, destroyed careers, and reshaped the financial system forever. The rise of a giant. Enron was formed in 1985 in Houston, Texas, originally just a natural gas pipeline company. Very quickly, it transformed itself under the leadership of founder Kenneth Lay and later executive Jeffrey Skilling into something much bigger, an energy trader, an innovator, a Wall Street darling. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, Enron looked unstoppable. Profits were soaring. Stock prices soared past $90 a share. Employees were rewarded with stock options. Investors thought they had found a modern success story, a house of cards built on fraud, but beneath that glossy facade was something rotten. Enron's executives weren't building real earnings, they were fabricating them. They used mark-to-market accounting, a technique that allowed them to record expected future profits as current revenue. The moment deals were signed, even if no real money had ever been received, the result. Enron's books looked amazing on paper, but only because they were imagined profits, not real ones. Off-the-books secrets and SPEs. That was just the start. Enron also hid massive debt using complicated financial structures called special purpose entities SPEs. Companies that existed only to hold bad assets and keep them off Enron's official financial statements. One of these was called Chuco, named oddly after the Star Wars character Chewbacca, a partnership designed purely to conceal losses from a joint venture. By moving troubled assets into shell companies, Enron's executives tricked the public and investors into believing the company was thriving when it was actually drowning. The culture that encouraged fraud. Enron's culture didn't just allow this, it incentivized it. Executives were rewarded based on hitting targets that were only achievable through creative bookkeeping, not real performance. The environment became a pressure cooker where ethical lines blurred, where success was measured in rising stock prices, no matter how fake they were. Internal dissent was discouraged. Whistleblowers were sidelined, but one internal memo would later prove critical. Whistleblowers and investigation. By 2001, analysts and regulators began to look more closely at Enron's financials. One notable internal alert came from Sharon Watkins, a vice president, who warned that the company's partnerships could create an accounting scandal. Around the same time, the SEC launched a formal investigation probing Enron's use of SPEs and its aggressive accounting techniques. Meanwhile, Arthur Andersen, Enron's auditor, was supposed to be the gatekeeper preventing fraud, but instead of challenging Enron, Andersen was collecting millions in consulting fees, while approving misleading financial statements. Later, Andersen employees even shredded documents related to the Enron audit, trying to conceal evidence from regulators. The collapse that shocked the world. By October 2001, the truth was out. Enron announced a huge loss and a massive reduction in shareholder equity. Investors panicked. The stock price plummeted from around $90 in 2000 to less than $1 by the end of November 2001. A planned acquisition by competitor Dynegy collapsed. Employees watched decades of savings evaporate. On December 2, 2001, Enron filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, one of the largest corporate failures in U.S. history. The aftermath, fallout, and accountability. The fallout was immense. Thousands of employees lost their jobs and pensions. Investors lost billions. Shareholders filed massive lawsuits. Executives like Jeffrey Skilling and Kenneth Lay were indicted and convicted. On fraud and conspiracy charges, the accounting giant Arthur Andersen LLP was essentially destroyed, after being found guilty of obstructing justice by shredding Enron documents, a legacy that changed Wall Street. Out of the ashes of Enron came a wave of reforms. The most significant was the Sarbanes Oxley Act of 2002, legislation designed to strengthen corporate governance, protect shareholders, and hold executives and auditors accountable for financial statements. Sarbanes Oxley expanded audit oversight, tightened reporting requirements, and imposed harsh penalties for destroying or fabricating records, all to prevent another Enron-style fraud. What Enron teaches us today: Enron wasn't just another company that failed. It was a symbol of corporate corruption, a reminder that even massive organizations can collapse when greed, unethical leadership, and deceptive accounting are left unchecked. It also showed that blind trust in too-big-to-fail corporations can cause real human hardship. Jobs lost, savings wiped, and trust broken. In many ways, Enron stands as a warning. No company is too big to fall, and no fraud is too complex to be uncovered.